الحمد لله نحمده ونستغفره ونستعينه ونستهديه ونشكره ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ولا مثيل له ولا ضد له ولا ند له وأشهد أن نبينا وحبيبنا وعظيمنا وقائدنا وقرة أعيننا محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه وحبيبه من بعثه الله رحمة للعالمين هاديا ومبشرا ونذيرا بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده فصلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم ارض عن ساداتنا أبو بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن سائر الصحابة والتابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد عباد الله، فإني أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله العلي القدير القائل بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أولم يتفكروا في أنفسهم ما خلق الله السماوات والأرض وما بينهما إلا بالحق وأجل مسمى وإن كثيرا من الناس بلقاء ربهم لكافرون. Had they not thought about their own selves, their own bodies? God did not create the heavens and earth and everything between them without serious purpose and an appointed time. Yet many people deny that they meet their Lord. This is from Surah Ar-Rum, chapter 30, verse 8. We have so far discussed in details the monotheism, the three branches of monotheism. And we discussed in great details the importance of Sunnah and the enjoining of what's right and forbidding what's wrong. And we did a deep dive on Allah's decree and will, al-qada wal-qadr. The next important item is faith. And you're probably sick and tired of hearing about faith. I'm gonna tackle this series or this issue of faith from a different angle though. And there is a reason behind it. It started about a couple of months back when we had a guest speaker over here talking about culture is king. And I believe his name was Sheikh Shinawi, if I'm pronouncing his name correct. And he mentioned in that lecture that 23% of the Muslims are leaving Islam. In the USA we're talking. We are not even gonna go and discuss back overseas, which I might go into it in a little bit. And after the lecture finished, I asked him, where did you get your numbers from? And he said, well, it's from the Pew Research. So I still, even though I believe what he said, but I still wanted to go and find out for myself to make sure, is this number correct? And sure enough, I went to the Pew Research. And yes, the number of American Muslims have increased by 50% in the past decade, and is still the fastest growing religion, that's correct. But also the number of ex-Muslims. According to the Pew Research Center, 23 of American Muslims raised as Muslims, they born and raised as their parents are Muslims, no longer identify with Islam, with the faith. So there is something wrong over here. We're talking about 1 out of every 4 Muslims in the US leaving Islam. And these are mostly second generation, and few of them are from, elderly generation or the ones that came and they have spouses and kids and they probably drive their kids to the mosques. And this exists in every community, by the way, in the US. I'm not excluding our community either. So, and there was an article in the Economist magazine just last month. I advise you to go and look for it. It was exactly March 15 of last month. And the title of it is The Number of Ex-Muslims Have Increased. And it will be interesting. I mean, it's a long article, but 2 things in the article you will find. That one guy is a college student, comes home one time drunk. He's a Muslim, born and raised here. His father lectures him and yells at him. And then he goes and tells him, well, from being drunk. He goes and tell him that he doesn't believe in halal or haram, and he's not a Muslim anymore. And anyway, he's an atheist. He left Islam. So the father now gets more upset. And he does not get more upset because the son is an atheist. It's because the son could not conceal it better because he was drunk. And that's when the father admitted to the son that he himself was an atheist. And he's born and raised as in Muslim countries, came here. And of course, his wife doesn't know he's an atheist. His wife thinking he's a Muslim. He brought the kids to mosques and these things. So any sheikh will tell you that marriage is null, but what she doesn't even know her husband left the realm of Islam. Okay, and then you will read in that article, you will find a Muslim lady, well, she's not a Muslim anymore, that she was a Muslim, she skipped Salah every now and then and nothing happened to her. She skipped fasting and nothing happened to her. She started having premarital affairs before, outside the realm of or institution of marriage, committing zina, and nothing happened to her. She's saying this mumbo jumbo stuff that her parents teaching her is incorrect. She became an atheist. So this issue is serious. And we go and teach our kids the 6 articles of faith, and we start from the tail end of it instead of focusing first, convincing them with logic and reason that Allah exists. We're talking about to them, trying to convince them there are angels, there are books, divine books, there are messengers, there is hell and heaven, there is Allah's decree and will, al-qada wal-qadar. And we don't focus on convincing them with reason and logic that Allah exists. Going back now to overseas. Overseas, there are a lot of people, and the reason we don't have statistics is because they are concealing it. But we know a lot of people in the Muslim countries also leaving Islam. And this is due a lot to the scholars of the Sultan, who give fatwas to follow the Sultan. Whoever is the Sultan is a king, is a general, is an emir, it doesn't matter who it is. Okay? And they give fatwas, and if you don't follow the Sultan and obey him, even if he's a tyrant, even if he asks you to do haram, that you will be considered a Khawarij, meaning out of the group or treated as a terrorist. So when you tell that to the youth, what they're gonna do? They're gonna rebel and leave the realm of Islam. I have a friend of mine who works with me. He comes from a repressive regime from back in the Muslim countries that exercises religious tyranny and forces people to exercise religion. So, and give fatwas and sow the hypocrisies and these things. One time he comes to me because he knows I'm observant. I pray in the office and these things, and he knows I'm very active in the community. So he goes, "Why don't you suggest to some shuyukh or scholars to change the Quran to make it more modern?" Now, some of you, when they hear this, they will go and throw the 3 famous words: you are a kafir, you are a fasiq, you are a asi, you are mischievous, you cause corruption. Instead of being calm and understand where is he coming from, why would he suggest something like that? And it's because he comes from a repressive regime. He comes from a society where, or repressive religious tyranny, even though Islam came to liberate people from religious tyranny to the justice of Islam, yet the Muslims themselves now in the Muslim world exercising religious tyranny. And hence you find people leaving the realm of Islam. To people like you and me, the authentic religious experience or the beliefs in Allah is affirmed again and again in our daily life. And it's natural for us and it's to be assumed. So it's no big deal for us. But for people who are born in this society or people who are the young people overseas in the Muslim countries, they don't want to assume it. They want to be convinced of it. And if you assume it because, oh, my parents used to believe in Allah, my grandparents used to believe in Allah, they are not going to follow you. They're going to look at you as ridicule you, and they're going to look at you as you are someone who is exercising superstition, or you have wishful thinking, or you are backward. And they are not going to follow you. But if we do it the way it's explained in the Quran, like I explained to my friend, the Quran is a very progressive book. And I don't use the word progressive the way the liberals over here in this country use the word progressive. The Quran is perfect because it's the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's valid until the day of judgment. The problem is not the Quran, is a problem are the scholars of the sultans who interpret the Quran to the benefit of the tyrants and push people away from Islam. But if we read the Quran, or before I get to that, when we mentioned many times that we are born with fitra, with the natural disposition, as the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam tells us. We are naturally seeking Allah and looking for Allah. But there is a second thing, which is Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam also, when he used to go to the cave and contemplate and look at the heavens to seek Allah, they used to reflect, they used to use logic and reason, and they believed, both of them, of the existence of Allah before using reason and logic, before the message was given to them. So why aren't we not talking to our kids with reason and logic regarding Allah's existence, rather than tell them, just do as I say? So this is what we're going to talk about, trying to prove the existence of Allah. And obviously I'm not going to be able to finish it. We'll continue after Ramadan, but we'll bring some examples. It's a lot of questions we ask all the times, and we discussed this before. Why are we here? Why is this world and the universe exist? How did it exist? Did it exist on its own, or someone created it? And the Quran mentions and talks about all these things. And the Quran, in the first ayah that I mentioned, it challenges us to look into ourselves. This body of ours that was given to us for free, it started from ma'in mahin, from weak, feeble water that it cannot support itself. Yet you will find some people, atheists, who will try to convince you man created himself. How did he create himself if he came from ma'in mahin, a very weak, feeble water that cannot support itself? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah At-Tur, chapter 52, verses 35 and 36, أم خلقوا من غير شيء أم هم الخالقون أم خلقوا السماوات والأرض بل لا يوقنون. Were they created out of nothing? Were they are the creators? Did they create the heavens and the earth? No, they do not have faith. When one of us, God forbid, gets into an accident, and we get lucky to be alive after the accident, but all our bodies is damaged and most of our organs will have to be replaced. It's a multi-million-dollar organs that we have, was given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it gets replaced not by flesh and blood, it gets replaced by metal, because modern day technology cannot replace our bones, cannot replace our flesh, cannot replace our blood or veins. So they replace it with metal or whatever other technologies they have, and will cost us millions of dollars to be replaced, right? But it was given to us for free. So if man created himself, why when we get into an accident we are not able to recreate ourselves after we lose an organ? We are not able to. Scholars, these two ayahs that I just read, they say there is three possibilities for this two ayahs. The first possibility, that the universe or ourselves appeared without any agent. Now nobody created us or the universe. It just appeared just like that. That's one possibility. The other possibility, like most atheists talk about, is that we created ourselves, or the third possibility that there is a creator who created this whole thing. So the first two proposition is, all our scholars say, is impossible. It could not be the case, and it negates modern day science even. That there is a power, there is something, there is a cause and effect for everything, and nothing happened out of no reason. And this is how modern day scientists even explain this issue. Imam Ibn al-Hajr quotes the al-Muhaddith and scholar Imam al-Khatibi regarding these two ayats I just read. And he said, it is said that the meaning of the verse is where they created without a creator, that is impossible, as they must have a creator. If they deny the creator, then they must have created themselves. And that proposition is even more foolish and false. For how can something without existence create anything? How could someone came from feeble water, very weak, create himself? If they reject these two opinions, that they came to be without a creator, or they created themselves, then the proof is established upon them that they were in fact created. Also, modern day science proves to us that if it wasn't for Jupiter and Saturn, life will cease to exist on Earth. Because Jupiter and Saturn take all the asteroids, all the poisonous gases, the big rocks, and all these things from coming to Earth. Who is controlling that? Is there a man controlling this? And our Milky Way, our galaxy, is only one. There are millions of others. What's their significance to planet Earth? If you read, and there are volumes on it, but if you read just the interpretation of the meaning of it in the Quran, of how Allah created the universe, you will find out in the Quran that Allah created it like it mentioned in 3 stages. The first 2 days He created the core of Earth. Then the next 4 days Allah is explaining He created the other layers of Earth. Then at the last 2 days, and we talk in the days of Allah, not our days. Every day is 1,000 years to Allah. And the last 2 days He finished Earth and completed the universe. So the universe to Allah took only 2 days, but Earth is 6 days. We talk in 6,000 years. And all the scholars that interpret this is as a scientific, one of the scientific miracles in the Quran, how Allah created the universe. And then someone comes and tell me this came on its own. Allah has nothing to do with it. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ولي الصالحين وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, الله الذي يرسل الرياح فتثير سحابا فيبسطه في السماء كيف يشاء ويجعله كسفا فترى الودق يخرج من خلاله فإذا أصاب به من يشاء من عباده إذا هم يستبشرون. In Surah Al-Rum again, chapter 30, verse 38, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah is He who sends forth the winds, so they raise a cloud. Then He spread it forth in the sky as He pleases. And He breaks it up so that you see the rain coming forth from inside it. Then when Allah causes it to fall upon whom He pleases of His servants, they are joyful. The water cycle is one of the miracles, and that the miracles of Allah and the scientific miracles of Allah in the Quran. The water is mentioned so many times in the Quran, and this is one of the ayats that Allah explains how He controls where the water goes through the wind and the clouds. You will find it raining in this side, and across the street there is no rain. You will find it raining in one side of the mountain, and the other side or the alley is sun and beautiful weather. Who controlling all that? The way the rain takes place, and we learned it all when we were in elementary school probably, about condensation, and it goes, but where does it start from? The beginning of it starts with the sun. So if the sun doesn't exist, we will have rain? We will not have rain. 71% of earth is from water, whether ocean, seas, or rivers, or lakes, whatever it is. And it doesn't need to be at 100 degrees to have the vapor to go up. Because if it has to be in 100 degrees for the vapor to take place and for condensation to take place, that means some areas will never have rain ever. So all what Earth needs is sun for the water cycle to start. Who's created the sun? Did the sun create itself, or did it exist on its own? And when you have your kids or these people who Muslims who are trying to leave the realm of Islam, just read the verses of the Quran on the water, just the water, and how Allah controls the cloud to go from one area to another, to control where the rain goes, and these things, how the water seeps into the earth. And it's all explained in the Quran, ya subhanallah. That Quran that they say about it is backward. That Quran that they say about it needs to be changed. And I don't want to be misunderstood that the Quran is a science book. Quran is a book of guidance, and the same thing as Sunnah. But we cannot neglect the scientific miracles of the Quran and the Sunnah, and use them to reason, and to use reason and logic with those Muslims who try to leave Islam. And look at the water when it seeps. We even get upset when it snows so much. All of us get angry when it snowed. It snowed over here until mid-April even. But the benefit of the snow even more, because when it stays and it seeps slowly into the ground, we get our the well water, and it's beneficial to the grass and beneficial to the trees and to all vegetation and plantation. Who control all this? When the water molecules get heavy in the cloud and all of a sudden they go down, who's controlling them to go down? Allah is telling us in the Quran who's controlling them. He decides of where it goes and when it happens. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran in Surah Al-Anbiya chapter 21 verse 30 that Allah وَجَعَلْنَا, He's telling us وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ أَفَلَا تَتَّقُونَ, that Allah said we made out of water every living thing. Just from the miracle of water to prove the existence of Allah, that should be enough. But to go and tell our kids or these young people or college kids, just follow what I'm saying, Allah exists, you don't need a proof. No, you need to use, because if you don't use reason and logic with them, somebody else will use reason and logic with them and take them out of the realm of Islam. Look how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala challenges us regarding water. This is from Surah Al-Waqi'ah that a lot of us read on a daily basis. Surah Al-Waqi'ah chapter 56, and these verses from 68 to 70. أَفَرَأَيْتُمُ الْمَاءَ الَّذِي تَشْرَبُونَ, have you ever considered the water that which you drink? أَأَنْتُمْ أَنزَلْتُمُوهُ مِنَ الْمُزْنِ أَمْ نَحْنُ الْمُنزِلُونَ, are you the one who caused it to come down from the cloud? Or are we, Allah referring to himself as we, the cause of its coming down? So the cause of the water, every cause has effect, and the cause of the water is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He's letting us know that the cause is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you go and look for modern day science, how the water cycle takes place, when you go home, you will find out it's in accordance to the teaching of the Quran, subhanallah. And then he goes and challenges us at the end, tells us, لَوْ نَشَاءُ جَعَلْنَاهُ أُجَاجًا فَلَوْلَا تَشْكُرُونَ. If it comes, that the water comes down to us pure and sweet, if it was our will, Allah's will, we would make it very salty and very bitter. Why then do not you give thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? when these ayats were revealed to Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, he started making the famous dua every time he drinks the water. Alhamdulillah الذي جعله عذبا فراتا برحمته ولم يجعله ملحا أجاجا بذنوبنا. That he's thanking Allah that he made it pure and sweet with his mercy and did not make it bitter and very salty from our sins. Does the Rasul sin even? He doesn't. But he wants us to remind us to say that dua and to thank him for it. Inshallah, we'll continue this after Ramadan for other proofs and the other series of faith, because it's a serious topic to prove to our kids to put the fear of Allah and to be God conscious. It has to be coming from reason and logic rather than just follow me because I said so. And I would like to remind myself first and foremost and you with the hadith of Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam of two words that are heavy on the tongue, heavy on the scale of deeds, light on the tongues. Subhanallah wa bihamdih, Subhanallah al-Azim, say it at least 100 times a day. And know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to send prayers on Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam when he said in the Quran, إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَمَلَائِكَتُهُ يُصَلُّونَ عَلَى النَّبِيِّ يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا صَلُّوا عَلَيْهِ وَسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد ربنا آمنا بما أنزلت واتبعنا الرسول فاكتبنا مع الشاهدين اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين ربنا أعنا ولا تعن علينا وانصرنا ولا تنصر علينا وامكر لنا ولا تمكر علينا واهدنا ويسر الهدى إلينا وانصرنا على من بغى علينا سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وأقم الصلاة